Hello everyone, welcome back to another late war battle report, again using the lockdown method, remote method since obviously COVID. Today's game is a bit different for me, playing a new friend from Padira Studios. I'll put a little ticket in the corner so you can go straight to that. They do loads of great chats with friends about army building and what's going on in the community, as well as releases. So this is Theodore's. I'm playing today. Probably not saying his name right, but I'll give it a go anyway. Today's game also different for me because normally I make my list after seeing the mission, but the guy I'm playing basically wants to practice a tournament list, so he already had it done, so I thought it would be fair that I make a list before I roll for the mission. So list is a bit different to what I normally do. I wanted to cover as many basis, whatever missions might come up, but I'll show you my list and we'll get into it. So as you can see, there's a lot of Shermans in front of you, British Shermans. These are going to be Sherwood Rangers. So basically I've got 2 tanks in the HQ unit, then I have 3 platoons of 3 Shermans, and then I also have 3 Fireflies because these draw on the Sherman DD formation. So it's 3, 3 and 3, and then the Fireflies come as in the formation, and at the back there are 2 Crusader AAs. So basically the Sherwood Rangers, their last stand is atrocious and their remount is a 4+. But for that you get a point off each unit. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 points I had to go somewhere else, and it's a nice round number to go into reserves for me. So that's why I went for something like this, because otherwise I'd have too much in reserve. And the main thing as well, I do have 17 pounders in formation, which I find good. And I won't go without infantry, so I have a company of just regular rifle company today. So I'm a HQ of 2, and then I have 2 platoons of full rifle platoons. So that's 7 rifle brandgun teams, a Piat and a mortar in each. And with them I got my universal carriers for spearhead, always useful, and 4 MMG carriers. Torn between them and wasps. Just find the wasps have to get a little bit too close before they can do anything, and these guys, when they're still, 6 shots each with MGs, pretty decent. So I also have a Saxton troop as well, of 4 Saxtons. So this is my artillery element of my list, and I have a observation universal carrier as well, so I can hide my artillery behind a hill or something and get the UC to stick his head out so my artillery doesn't get pinned. So this is my list. So it's 100 points, so I do miss having those extra 9 points to have something. So there we go, and let's have a look what Theodore has gone for. Just one thing to add with my list, I completely forgot that my infantry are not regular infantry, they are 3rd Division, so they're using Monty's Ironsides command card, which changed that terrible motivation to a more bearable 4+. So thought I'd mention that here before you start seeing me rolling 4s and unpinning my troops. So this is the opposition army today, so this is more or less what Theodore wants to take to the next ETC, minus some models I didn't have and including some proxies, so forgive me everyone. So we have a 9th Panzer Armoured Panzergrenadier company. So we have a HQ with the half-track and they have Panzerfausts, and then we have a full platoon with their 4 half-tracks and they have Panzerfausts as well, and then we have just a regular Panzergrenadier platoon with a Panzerschreck and Panzerfausts. In this formation, we have 6 Stummels. I only have 4, so I've used the anti-tank guns from the half-tracks to proxy. More or less the same. I think I'll have to do for now. And in the formation as well, we have 4 8cm armoured mortars and 2 light AAs. So quite a solid formation, and remember, being 9th Panzer, their tactics rating is worse. In support though, we have 2 Tiger 1s, so thankfully 17 pounders are in play today. I hope they can deal with them. We have 4 Panzer 4s, 3 Vesps, and a Panzer 3 OP. So there we go. Quite a good list. No spearhead though, interesting. Was suggesting in our haggling over not using the flamethrowers, you could have put some spearhead units in there, but what he wanted to use was the Greyhound division, but he removed that, added the 9th, so basically they covered the points. So at least now he hasn't got a terrible last stand as well. So we'll see what the mission is, and we'll have a little look at the table. So here we have the table. Again, I used the Axis of Attack campaign. I'll stick a link in the description on this video so you can follow it. So this is the Western Europe setup. As you can see, no buildings. I didn't roll for any buildings this time. So basically, breakdown of the corners. This left corner is dominated by a hill, so large hill right in the middle. This one had hedgerows, so as you can see, standing crops. This one said 1 to 2 areas of trees. This centre bit over here had a shallow river, so the shallow river basically flows through it and has to meet another point, so I rolled the dice. 1, 2 was this side, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's no explaining which one I rolled. So as you can see, it goes through, and the shallow river is got a few bits of trees along its edge. So there we go. And then left corner over here, standing crops again. So no buildings, that's going to be interesting. Might favour me since I'm the attacker in this mission and the mission is cornered. So it'll be interesting to see what my opponent decides to defend. Hedgerows will probably be the best option, considering how many tanks I have. Those cross checks will slow me down. We're just playing as hedgerows, not Bocage, thankfully. Yeah, so if you want ideas how to select tables, check out the Axis of Attack. And following on from that, a big thank you to Mark from Hengus Comics. I had a really big chat with him last night about setting up a campaign that I'm going to be running in the future with my friend Jimmy. So basically after COVID has gone away and everything is open, we're going to be finishing off our El Alamein campaign, and then we're going to be moving into Operation Husky. And I got really good ideas of Mark that I've written down, and I'm going to double check with Jimmy. So anyone who doesn't know Hengus Comics, he does a lot of Flames of War videos, but with a bit of a twist. Recommend them. I'm going to put a link in this video as well. If you click it, have a go. Very fun, entertaining videos to watch. So let's have a look at deployment now and get on with the game. Right everyone, we have deployed, and we are live streaming this, so I feel this is going to be a bit of a spoiler for anyone who's already watched this, but at least you'll see some nice transition slides in between each turn, and that's going to be the main difference really. So as you can see, there's my camera propped up against the mug so everyone can see it. We have the Vesps in the forest along with the dreaded Tigers, Grenadier platoon with the HQ, AAs and the Panzer 3 all around that objective. Meanwhile, I've got a nice little battle line going along here with a mixture of the Shermans and the infantry, with my Saxons hidden behind the hill, nice and safe. And then we've got a nice crammed bubble of spearhead deployment, and unfortunately my universal carriers could not get over a hedge, so I couldn't get that a little bit further forward. And we'll see now what we have in reserve and ambush. So ambush, we have the 6 Stummels, so that's 12 shots when they pop up, it's nasty. And in reserve we have the mortars, the armoured platoon and the Panzer 4s. So best luck to my opponent, good luck, not too much though, and please everyone don't give him too much advice. I don't think he'll need it anyway. So we're going into British turn 1, and So here's the end of my movement. The MMG carriers have not moved because they're already in range of their MGs. My Fireflies did the cross here and they've gone to the forest but out of sight, and the formation command is going round with encouragement. So for British eyes, usually in the form of making cups of tea. The AAs didn't blitz because you know what happens when I do that. They just tactically moved and everything is dashed, moving as quickly around the flank as possible, and hopefully no reserves will be coming in anytime soon to help me out. So we're going now into my shooting phase. So in my shooting, I rearranged in my artillery and I got a kill, and it was the unit leader as well, and after much discussion we managed to figure out which one we wanted to replace. Apart from that, the MMG carriers got a hit, didn't kill anything though, and then they failed to shoot and scoot. Well done guys, good work there. The AAs had one hit, but unfortunately a save again, and that is it for my shooting. Everything else dashed. And now we're going into German turn 1, so I'll take a thumbnail and then we'll do all the motivation. So the Stummels have triggered, they've popped up here, so they've positioned, these three are in short range and have a nice open shot, and my Sherman's coming across the field, and these ones are in short range of the Shermans on the road, and of course they can be in short range because they do have concealment. In the terms of motivation, the Grenadiers rallied, it's good for them, and luckily for me, no reserves, but I can't say lucky when there's already still 2 Tigers on the table. So we're going into German shooting, and I might have a few dead Shermans lying around, but come on Armour, you'll do well. So I took quite a hit in that turn. I lost a Crusader, so there we go, last standing already. Lost 2 infantry bases thanks to the Vesps, and I've lost a Sherman here thanks to Stummels. And I could have lost a few more in this field. 2 got bailed and 1 blew up. Or as the British call it, they got brewed up. And that is it. So now we're going into British turn 2. And I've got plenty of motivations to do. So after my motivation, it's not panic stations yet so much. Got both my Sherman's back in. My infantry didn't bloody rally, but they rolled a 1, so even Canadians won't come back from that. And for some reason the AAs kept up, so well done you lot. So at least they'll have one more turn of shooting while I figure out what to do with the rest of the army. So here we're going into my movement. Okay, so with my movement so far, I blitzed the Fireflies, which is good, but one of them did fail the cross-check, so they are stuck there a little bit. They dug in, and they dug in, so for infantry, that's pretty good going. Again, all of them dug in, and everything else, the Shermans on the road have moved up to try and deal with the Stummels. The guys in the middle of the field are just going to stay there, and everything is forming a gun line around there. So going into my shooting, I have to start with this first. I'm going to be putting down a smoke bombardment. Yep. Alright, so in my shooting I popped down some smoke just to kind of silence the Tigers a little bit this turn. And for all my endeavours with the Shermans moving around, I took out 2 Stummels, so at least that is 4 less heat rounds coming my way. And that was it. And I learned a new thing about formation commanders. You only get the rerolls if it's from that formation. So I knew I'd learned something new this game. So here we go. I've been doing that wrong all along. So we're going into German turn 2. So we have no motivations, but we do have potential reserves coming in. So, ouchie, my Shermans are getting got rid of. Reserve-wise, some Panzer IVs came on, so and they got rid of 2 Shermans. The Stummel build another one, and basically my HQ has got some armour on it at least. The artillery is again devastating. Do you want to roll a dice for the Crusader? Because I was under the template.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's... but I did lose another 2 bases, and the Fireflies sweated a little bit because the Tigers got very close to getting a hit on them again. So, I do have some more last stands to do this turn. Come on, Sherwood Rangers, don't let me down. So for my motivations, my Sherman over here got back in and passed his last stand check thanks to the formation command. My infantry have rallied over here, and the Crusader A is sticking around as well. So I'm not hitting much, but they are determined to do better, which is good. So we're going into my movement now. So in my movement, I've brought up my Firefly, who is lagging back. The infantry who managed to unpin moved forward into the woods. Unfortunately, not that much inspiration for a follow me, and everything else is trying to dodge anti-tank rounds coming their way. I am going to move my formation commander as well, 8 inches towards, basically over the river into the other forest. Okay. I'll do a follow me as well for him, and I got a 5, so they are in. Okay, there we go. So one thing I am doing is getting rid of stummels, 2 at a time it seems to be, so 2 more left, so hopefully next turn I can get rid of them. My artillery ranged in, pinned this infantry but no kills yet, so there we go. Oh yeah, I've already tried to shoot and scoot these guys. The 2 guys on the road who are absolutely useless, couldn't hit anything, and now they're stuck there. So we're going into German turn 3, and they will be getting at least 1 unit of reserves in anyway. So German turn 3, let's get a thumbnail. So we got reserves on, and the infantry unpinned. So basically these guys dashed on, and they did a follow me and then tried to get into the forest, and one of them failed. The Panzer IVs failed the blitz, and then they went out. All of them got out of the forest and they moved in to engage my Shermans in the field over there, and now we're about to do some bombardment in the shooting phase. So that was a bit of a better turn for me in regards to what the Germans killed. I lost a HQ team, and a Crusader A got bailed because it was basically a 6-turn for the Germans and 7s for the Panzer IVs thanks to their failed blitz. So yeah, looking a bit better. So going into turn 4, still got a lot of work to do. So motivation, my formation commander decided not to rally. For some reason my Crusader A is sticking around, unlike his counterpart in the Sherman, who drove off with the formation commander looking to his right and then realising he's not there anymore. So, movement, and let's see what I can do. So I have moved over here. I haven't moved anything, so the MMG carriers will stay where they are. So too will the Fireflies, and the infantry in the forest have moved. My formation commander has picked out a shovel and he's dug himself a hole, and for the 2 IC which is next to him, which is gone. And then the Shermans have moved on the road along with the brown gun carriers and the rest of the infantry as well, leaving a nice fire lane for the rest of the Shermans. As I go into my shooting phase, let's hope my dice are hot this turn and can turn the tide a bit. Okay, so the pattern of 2 stummels and 2 stummels have slightly ended, but I did bail 2, so something going a bit better. I did kill one of the AAs, so at least they last standing, but the formation commander's right next to him. And I bailed the formation commander with the Shermans. And that is it. So going into German turn 4, a few motivations, but going strong for them. So the good thing is everything I managed to bail out last turn has stayed bailed out, so that's quite good. These Grenadiers, though ever faithful, have unpinned, and nothing has run away from the Germans yet. And so there we're looking at. So again, here comes the pain. These Shermans on the road are in a bit of trouble, and here we go into the German shooting for their 4th turn. So going into my turn 5, what happened in the German shooting was they killed a rifle team with MG fire, and the Panzer IVs knocked out another Sherman, so we got another last standing Sherwood Ranger, and another rifle team in the woods got taken out. And that is it. A bit light on the casualties, again, not a bit too bad, but I probably will see some tanks running away. So here we go into my motivation. So with my motivations, put this forest back. With my motivations, everything that was pinned is unpinned. The AA, he drove away, he's had enough, but he stuck in, he didn't do anything, but he did stick with it. But most importantly, my Sherman on the road has stuck with it, so good for him. So we're going into my shooting. Gonna have to re-range in because that is now on top of my own guys, so I'll have to push that back a bit. And now we're going into shooting for British turn 5. So with my shooting, I again have pinned the infantry, but no kills. I have, though, destroyed the half-track that the HQ was in, and my Fireflies only managed to kill one of the 8cm mortars, so that's unfortunate, leaving me to assault with a lot of MG fire coming into me. But assault I must. Might as well get it done. Now, no, fingers crossed, it might go my way. So as expected, the assault was a catastrophe. They got pushed back, and I have the HQ and the unit leader left, and they both pinned. So there we go, and now we're going into German turn 5, and here comes the pain. But it's good. I might wipe out a unit, so it's not going to be a total disaster for me. I might get one of these Panzer IVs, will be a little bonus for me. Tiger would be better though. So motivation, the Stummels, one of them got back in and then run away, and the other one just blew his Stummel up. The AA is sticking around and everything unpinned, and the Panzer IVs are making their way towards my Fireflies. So here we go. And also the Tigers and everything is trained their guns on my 2 guys out in the open. Those poor chaps are gonna get some pain, unfortunately. And now we're going into German shooting. So quite devastating. The Tigers and Panzer IVs managed to kill 2 of the Fireflies, and knowing them, they all run off. One of my MMG carriers has been taken out. My formation commander is dead, but somehow this guy is still alive, and a couple of more infantry teams back here got killed. And the Tiger, for once, has managed to get caught without going back into the woods, which is unfortunate since I only have one Firefly that can actually do anything to him. So we're going into turn 6, and I have a fair few motivations to do. Luckily nothing bailed out, a couple of pinned units, but 2 last stand tests I've got to do, unfortunately. So 2 of my tanks drove away, they've had enough. My national hero here, as we're calling him, didn't rally, but he's stuck around, so he's doing something. And everything else I'm pushing towards the objective. The UCs, the HMGs are staying here just for their rate of fire, just to try and do something. And the infantry have moved up to give some support as well. Push him in. And my Shermans have come up as well. Just do or die. Need to see if I can get rid of something to stop the Germans getting a stunning victory at the moment and get some pride. Or go for the win. Let's see. So, British shooting. So with my shooting, I finally got rid of one of the Grenadier units. Didn't kill the AA, unfortunately, but I did manage to get 3 of the 8cm half tracks, and the Universal Carriers are ready to launch their mighty assault into the pinned down infantry. But there's a Panzer track there, so it's not going to be plain sailing. So here we go, finally again another assault in. So if my Universal Carriers were hitting on 4s, I might have done a bit better, and also if they didn't counter-attack on a 6, would be a bit better. And if the formation commander wasn't there, these guys would have pulled back, but there we go. It was still very close there. Got a lot of misses. Oh no, it seemed that the armour of the universal carriers held up quite well against conventional weapons, but then when someone decided to open up a panzer Faust into a universal carrier, that did the job. So there we go. That's them back into their foxholes. That's my assault and done. So now we're going into German turn 6. So everything rallied and everything passed their last stands. So nice, good for the Germans, and then everything is just pushed up. So even if I don't get killed here, it's going to be very lucky if anything good comes from this. But now it looks like the Germans are on course for a good and well-deserved stunning victory. Just could not break enough units just to clutch a little bit of pride from here. But we're going into shooting, so I'm about to lose a few more guys. Right then, so that is the end of the game, and the live stream is finished. So hopefully the viewers who watch this haven't already seen it and spoilt it, but at least you got to see the nice little crisp transition slides I put so much effort into. And as you can see, that one gentleman who was holding within 8 inches of the objective got killed. So unfortunately for me, just the one unit I wiped out of the Germans, so that is a stunning victory. So well and truly earned victory for the Germans, and the British are going to fall back, regroup, have a cup of tea, and then come back another time, I think. Or send the Americans or the Polish or the Canadians to do it instead. That's how we roll. So I hope you enjoyed. I'll put a subscribe bit in the bottom, and roll on the next couple of games.